Hey everyone, I'm Craig and I've just turned 40. And today I'm going to be answering ChatGPT's questions around turning 40 years old. Okay, so in 2025, absolutely everybody knows what ChatGPT is, right? And I thought it would be a fun little test to see what questions it comes up with about turning 40. So if we come on to ChatGPT, let's get going. So I've just put here, I'm a guy who has just turned 40, asked me a question about turning 40 or life in your 40s. So first of all, happy 40th, thanks ChatGPT. And it says here, now that you've hit 40, what's the one thing you care way more about than you did in your 20s? So one thing that I do care so much more about is my home life. You know, spending time with my wife, with my dogs, and just having that lovely base is so much more important to me now in my 40s than it was maybe in my 20s. And that's because in my 20s I was growing, I was experiencing new things and trying to figure out where I wanted to be. And now I'm 40, I know where I want to be. It's my base, it's my home, it's with my wife and with my family. So ChatGPT, I hope I answered that question, but it's got an additional thing here that says, and what's one thing you've realised doesn't really matter as much as you thought it would back then? And strangely, for me, it's my career. I was so laser focused in my 20s about building, about pushing, trying to get up that work ladder. And it wasn't until my late 30s or even now in my 40s that I realised maybe that's not quite as important. It's more about doing something that I enjoy, something that pays the bills, and maybe putting a little less stress on work and enjoying life. Here's another from ChatGPT. Has turning 40 changed how you define success or happiness? If so, what does that look like for you now compared to a decade or two ago? So as mentioned, my focus isn't so much on my career. That definitely defined my success in my 20s. I also valued what other people thought of me a lot more in my 20s. I almost judged myself on what other people thought. Whereas now in my 40s, I've got a lot more self-assurance, I'm a lot more confident, and I think I'm a good judge of where I am in my life. So to answer the question, I define happiness by just being content with life, being happy with what I'm doing for work and in my home life, rather than looking for assurances or compliments or whatever from other people. If you could give your 30-year-old self one honest piece of advice from your 40-year-old perspective, what would it be and would he actually listen? So the last part, no, he probably wouldn't. But my one piece of advice, the main piece, would probably be around investing. I think if you can invest a little and often, say for that 10-year period between 30 and 40, that compounds, it grows over time, and the earlier you start saving, the better. So my advice to my 30-year-old self would maybe be spend a little less money in the pub and put a little bit more into my investments. What's something you still haven't done yet that you definitely want to accomplish in this decade of your life? So I don't know if this is necessarily an accomplishment, but I'd love to start a family with my wife. We've been trying for a little while now, and that's something that I feel, now I've turned 40 is definitely missing for me. Now that's a complete personal choice of whether or not you want children or can have children, but I think that's the next step in my life, is to have a family and put a lot of time into raising a child and those kind of things, which is going to completely change my life. As you enter your 40s, what relationships, whether with people, passions, or even parts of yourself, are you most focused on strengthening or redefining? So that's quite interesting, because when I was growing up, when I was a bit younger, I wasn't really that focused in on relationships more than maybe co-workers, bosses, those kind of areas. So now my main sole focus is on my wife, which is, what you'd expect, but it's also with growth. It's also with trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. And it's also with enjoying my hobbies, my pastimes, seeing friends, seeing family, and not necessarily reinventing myself, but focusing in on what gives me happiness and that also provides a fulfilling life. What's something you used to bounce back from in a day that now takes a full weekend or longer to recover from? So I think this has pretty much set me up for a hangover discussion. So like back in the day, 25, 26, 27, whatever, I could drink quite a lot and be pretty fine the next day, especially after the morning and maybe a full English. But today, if I had 4 pints, I'd feel it for almost 2 days. So that's definitely one thing. And another less alcohol specific one is exercise. When I was younger, I could exercise, I could do sports, and the next day I'd feel fine. Today, if I do sports, let's say I play a cricket match, the next day I'll be waddling around, barely able to walk, because my muscles aren't really used to it anymore. Maybe they're not as strong as they used to be. What's something from your youth that you find yourself unexpectedly missing or appreciating more now that you're 40? So this is an interesting one. I guess the one thing that my mind goes towards is, the fact that when I was young, I was meeting lots of new people. I had a lot more socialising and interactions with people in person. And I do miss that a little bit, but I know that my life has developed. I work from home now. I don't really go out that much in terms of mingling with new people. And I don't really have that many people to bounce ideas off of for my work and those kind of things. So yeah, I definitely miss that kind of camaraderie that you might get in an office, for example. But I wouldn't change it for the world because I'm really happy with where I am. Let's do a couple more to wrap up. So now that you're 40, what kind of impact do you hope to leave behind, whether in your work, your relationships, or the way you live life every day? So when I was younger, I really wanted to focus on leaving something behind. So I wrote books and I was hoping that, maybe I'll leave some sort of little legacy behind. But as I've grown older, my perspective on that has completely shifted. And all I want to do is just be the nicest person I possibly can be and support those that I love. So as long as my family's happy and I provide value to my friends and maybe my community, I'm completely happy with that. I don't need to provide this big, long-lasting legacy, and that is completely fine for me. And to wrap up, what's one belief, habit, or mindset you've let go of by 40 that's made your life noticeably better? I think just taking a little step back and relaxing has made my life so much better. I was always so driven on success, on pushing myself, on trying to climb that ladder in work, in achievements, whatever it may be, that I didn't really appreciate the journey along the way. It was always focused on what the target is. And now as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate the journey a little bit more. Just like with this channel, I'm on 25 subscribers at the moment. And yeah, my goal is to reach 1,000, 10,000, however many. But if I don't enjoy what I'm making along the way, then what's really the point, right? So you've got to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, take a little step back. And for me, that's helped me have a better life. So those were some questions from ChatGPT about turning 40. If you've got any more that you want to leave down in the comments, please do, and I'll do my very best to get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and keep coming back for more videos about turning 40 and life in your 40s. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next video.